Ian, we got voicemails, don't we?
Oh, let's do some voicemails.
You know how to access the. No,
Nope,
you don't.
I don't.
You don't love me
I have
enough.
no
with the
idea how to
podcast.
do that.
You just show up and take a paycheck. Anchor.fm/the podcast, and you do great Manscaped, or our great sponsor Manscaped. You can leave us a voice message. Keep it short. Please keep it short. It really helps me because I have to I shouldn't say this. I have to like pre-screen most of these. First one.
Greetings, Pat and Ian. This is Nico from Finland. Firstly, I would like to know if you're excited about the return of the Cruis'n series, since it's coming back with the blast, so to speak. And secondly, do you guys have any modern consoles? Do you game with modern consoles at all? And lastly, I do hope that even though Tommy is sending you messages every week, I hope that he doesn't, for example, invade your home, Pat. Nevertheless, I'm a big fan of the show, been a listener for many years, and keep up the good work. Moikka!
All right. So, yes, modern consoles, obviously, yes. I have a Switch. Ian has a Switch. He's got a PS4.
I have a Switch, I have a PS4, and I'm sure I'll end up with an Xbox One X or an Xbox Series X or a PS5 at some point. Not really in a huge rush to get them, though. But yeah, I definitely try to stay, more so than Pat, I try to stay up to date on the modern games.
I just played Trigger...
You played one game.
Trigger Witch.
Yeah.
my pal Dan. Rain Bite Games. What was the first question?
About the return of the Cruis'n series.
Return
the
of the Cruis'n series.
So Blast has been out for a while, I think.
There's a couple of arcade ones, right? Is there a
Blast
couple?
is the big one. I think I saw that at the last Game On Expo I did, so that would have been like 2017, 2018, but it is getting a console release. I don't know that I'm going to rush out and get it, but I do like to see these arcade racers. They're fun. I know there's
2017.
Okay.
So Cruis'n came out in 2007. Was that was a Wii game? This is the first. I always forgot about Cruis'n Velocity. That was a thing on Game Boy Advance. Doesn't count.
No.
Cruis'n Blast.
This is the first one that counts since the three main ones, I think, on the 64.
And this is via Raw Thrills is the dev on this, so it's not.
But it's interesting. So yeah, I think there's always room for arcade racers. I just don't know that it translates to home. Like, I didn't play Cruis'n Blast when I saw it, and I kind of wish I did, because that's the sort of game that's fun to play in an arcade.
Yeah, arcade racers
are kind of an in the moment sort of thing.
I reviewed all three Cruis'n games for a certain N64 guidebook.
They're simple,
and you try to stretch out the experience by having like other cars you can unlock and things like that. But it comes down to replaying the same, 10, 12 races.
Right.
And each race is only like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, because it's an arcade. So it's like, they're not that deep. I mean, they tried to, I think the personal best, I think, is Cruis'n World out of all three, because they really perfected like the drift and stuff like that and little tricks and going up on two wheels. So they did that, but like you run out of steam on an arcade racer on a console.
Yeah.
It's just tough. Obviously, you do multiplayer, it's a little more fun, but I feel like checking out Cruis'n Blast. It's fun that Nintendo, they licensed it and they did it, and there you go. They trusted them to do it. They probably were Cruis'n fans. Were like, oh, we want to do this.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a Cruis'n game in forever. We want to do this arcade game. All right, next. Oh yeah, and Tommy, if I see a Ferrari show up in my house, I laugh. I'm not going to happen.
Hey, Pat and Ian. This is Dick from Las Vegas, Nevada. I have to say, trying to sign up and leave a voicemail for you guys is tougher than trying to beat Narc on the original NES.
Really?
Anyways, okay. I just wanted to know if you knew if Perfect Strangers, the arcade game, was going to be a launch title for the new Intellivision Amico.
Oh God!
I'd love to.
All right. I think he then tries to. He plays the theme after that. Okay. I would love it. I would love it. A Perfect Strangers arcade game. That's actually something that good old Eric Lapp from Video Game Years said for one of his. It should have been a game. I believe he did. I believe he did Perfect Strangers for like 86 or 87. Whatever the first year came out, I think it was 86. So Eric had his pulse on the games we really wanted to play. I love those standalone segments, and you did a great job on those. I'm not just fluffing you up here. You did a great job on the popular pinball machine games.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to make you laugh, because some of the ones at the end where you're going, those are the most popular pinball machines of 1984. You're almost starting to laugh. I know I'm like egging you on. Remember that? The cramped ass, small place. I would yell.
Hot wooden chairs.
I would fucking freak out because I hate how cramped it was.
Yeah.
I would spaz out for the podcast recordings we do on like, what was it, Tuesday nights we used to do it, or Monday nights?
Yeah.
When do we do the podcast? All right, what do we got next?
Gaming racists.
Okay, then. All right. Thank you for that, Bruce. That's it.
Thanks, Bruce.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Ian. This is Nick from Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame city. Go Browns. Not to stir up any drama, but I was kind of curious what happened to Mike Kennedy since everything went down. I know he was kind of a staple in the convention scene, and I used to see his magazine at Borders before they shut down. But he's been kind of quiet the last several years. I wasn't sure what he's been up to.
The magazine was sold to Pico Interactive, which I don't know what they did with it. I don't know if they did anything with it.
Probably not.
He still showed up to the SC3, the Southern California gamer meetup groups. I've been to a few of them. I see Andre. I told you that's where I saw the Air Raid complete box.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy just basically had it on a piece of stone. I'm
So,
like,
yeah, you're like, you should probably.
I'm like, that game's worth like 20 to 30 grand. Like, not. I was trying to be helpful, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But no, he used to show up to those, and from what I hear, he still showed up to one or two of those after the Coleco fell apart in 2016.
Really?
Yeah. All I know is this: is that it sounds like there was a lot of falling apart with his family because his family invested in it. I feel bad for his wife. They probably got divorced, but I'm not sure. But like, there was a lot of bad stuff that probably happened with his friends and family because they probably believed in this guy, and look what happened. You know, so I think he now just works, just doing a regular job, and that's it. You know, that's what it ended up being. Was that your phone or mine? That was beeping there. Next.
Hey, Pat and Ian, this is Tyler from Florida, long-time listener, first-time caller. This is actually a question for Ian. I was wondering if we're ever going to get that episode 3 of the fantastic ranch dressing story. If not, maybe we'll get some Ian's Happy Handhelds.
I think you do. I think the listeners deserve Ian Happy's handhelds at some point. Ian, we got to. Even with me just recording on my cell phone, you playing a fucking Tiger baseball game, and you rant for 10 minutes. Come on, Ian, we can do that at least.
Maybe someday. I'll leave open the possibility of a Happy Handheld someday, but there is no possibility of Ranch Dressing Part 3. I've said that.
Ian, I'll
a long time.
I'll literally set up a little tripod on a phone. You just do it, free ball it, and play a fucking. It'll take 5 goddamn minutes. Ian. It's been 8 fucking years.
I'll see if I can
It's
pick
been
one.
8 years. They need it.
It's been 84
I
years.
have the theme song jingle in my head.
I'm sorry.
You know, I'm a jingle expert. If the podcast doesn't work out, I go like Uncle Jesse and I do jingles.
Jingle writer.
Remember that? That's what Uncle Jesse did.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, next.
Hey guys, this is Jason from Pittsburgh. You guys love the show. Just a real quick question for, I guess it would be more for you, Pat. In regards to some certain guidebooks, was there any rhyme or reason to whom you would assign to review what game? So just always wondered that since you released your books. Thanks.
Straw poll. We just do straw. No. So it's actually a process. We want obviously writers that are more adept at certain genres and are actually pre-familiar with games you prefer. So I send out, everything to all the writers, and I send back, okay, what games would you be interested in? And then what games would you absolutely never want to play? Like, or some genres, some writers are adverse to some genres. We don't all love different genres, and you can't have them working on those games because they'll be judging potentially more the genre than the game itself, which has happened. We've kind of caught some of these things here and there. It's not always perfect. You have a subconscious, like, oh, I don't like, we'll just say like an Olympic style game. Oh, you're just constantly doing the same thing. It's like, well, that's the game. You're going through these certain mini games. So it is a process. Sometimes when you get down to the nitty gritty, like right now, there's gonna be writers that have to work on games that they may not like because it comes down to someone's got to work on them. So yeah, I do. I get lists of the games people like and the genres they like and dislike, and you go from there. And that's the way it works. I didn't force Ian to work on an NES game he didn't want to. I don't think.
No,
I don't think so. I should have. Next we have Tommy. Not that Tommy.
Ian, Pat, it's Tommy from Sheffield in the UK.
Let me just say this about Mr. Tallarico. He's ruined people named Tommy for me. I have a very good friend named Tommy. That Ian
I know
met.
Tommy, yeah.
And now every time I say his name, I think of a fucking CEO.
Ian, Pat, it's Tommy from Sheffield in the UK again. A couple of quick questions. What's your thoughts on emulation, seeing as though
Hate it.
original hardware and video games are now going through the roof, skyrocketing with prices? I think it's a really good, viable way of playing video games, and I personally emulate loads. And also, is there a game that is so good that you've bought it again to give to friends? I've done that with a PlayStation 2 game called Freedom Fighters Battle for Liberty Island.
All right. We don't hate emulation.
No, absolutely not.
People try to pin that on us at some point, and we're like, no.
Well, I don't think Tommy's trying to pin that on
But
us.
other people have.
Oh, yeah, sure. I definitely don't hate emulation. Definitely very pro emulation. Just because I like to buy physical copies of some games does not mean that I am anti-emulation. I think where the anti-emulation stuff comes from is how often we go after people who sell ROMs.
And sell pirated games.
And sell emulators.
And people think that, well, that's because you want people to spend $700 for a game. No.
No.
I'd rather you emulate it than spend money on giving it to these thieves.
I just don't want people making money off of other people's work.
Yes.
But I am absolutely not opposed to emulation. As far as the second question, yeah, there's actually a handful of games that I've bought for other people because I like them so much. I've definitely bought a number of copies of Killer 7 for other people. I have bought and given away lots of copies of Kirby's Pinball for the Game Boy. And No Man's Sky is another game that, especially once it started to like get fixed, bought that for a bunch of people. Bought it for my dad, bought it for a couple of friends, did a giveaway. So yeah, when I like a game, I'll definitely buy copies to give to people.
Next.
Hey Pat and Ian, it's Sean from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm looking for just some general trade etiquette and advice for when you guys go to conventions. I'm going to the Midwest Gaming Classic in November, which is a convention in the city, and I have a copy of Columns, the boxed cardboard version for Genesis, and also a copy of Times of Lore for NES that I'm looking to try and trade for some N64 stuff. So I'm looking for some tips that you guys might have that might help me when I go, and to try and like temper my expectations a little bit. I appreciate everything you guys do on the podcast, and hope you guys keep it up. So thank you very much.
Well,
Bye.
Sean, you have to keep in mind that if you're trading, the seller has to be able to move it rather easily. So if your Times of Lore, which is a very uncommon NES game, that might take him a while to sell versus the N64 games that you want, in return. So
it depends on what value he thinks he's going to get out of the Times of Lore. The value. A lot of times, if something is decent value enough, they'll be happy to take it. Just keep in mind that when you're doing a trade, especially with a business, it's with a business. It's not with your friends. You're almost never going to get a one-to-one trade on anything.
Times of Lore, you're not getting the top trading price.
You're always going to be paying. They're always going to want to hopefully get some sort of cash out of you in that situation. And then, like Pat said, when you take stuff to trade at a convention, I do think the Times of Lore might be more interesting. The Columns, though, I don't know. You want to be able to trade stuff that they think they're going to be able to move then and there.
Sure.
This is Paul in Raleigh, NC. With video games now getting their own theme park, I'd like to know what rides you would put in a TurboGrafx 16 theme park. A Splatterhouse Dark Ride? Bonk's Bumper Cars? A Magical Chase Dumbo ride? Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Well, it sounds like you got it all laid out, Paul. I recognize your voice from other voicemails in the past.
I want a Bonk log flume ride.
You want a Bonk log flume?
Yeah, and we can theme it like the inside of the dinosaur.
Well, there is the log jumping part,
and you can take the log into its guts.
I was thinking there's gotta be like a children's Pac-Land thing. There has to be like just a whole
Pac-Land area.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
You just walk around. There's like ghosts that like in costumes that. God, I want to see this now. I want to see like a Pac-Man. Namco, you already have enough ways to monetize Pac-Man, but I'm surprised you haven't done like part of a theme park. Not saying a whole theme park, but like part of one, like how Snoopy's part of that.
Yeah.
One. Where was that? Was
Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah. Where's the Pac-Man?
Pac Park.
Pac Park.
I've always heard he's far more popular over here than in Japan.
Really? They're just sick of him over there?
Pac-Man. Yeah, people love Pac-Man in the U.S. Well, when they did those little mini Pac-Man Tamagotchis, those were U.S. only. They didn't even release them in Japan.
Wow. Japan, what's going on there? We'll do a couple more here.
Hey, Pat and Ian, this is less of a question, more of a statement.
Oh.
But I think that if you have any sealed retro games whatsoever, you need to get them graded and you need to sell them and get the money while you can. You'll always be able to find another copy unsealed, and they're never going to be as valuable as they are now. There are not going to be another generation of people wanting to buy sealed NES games, I don't think. I'd say get the money while you can. even if you have to kind of go back on what you said. You just need to get that cash, man.
Tim, do you know something about my finances that I don't? Like, it's like, Pat, you got to do it right now. Here's the thing. I don't own that many sealed games, which is funny because when this started happening, and I could tell the people that were just trying to get stuff off me to hopefully flip, I was contacted on Facebook by at least 3 people that are like, hey, big fan of yours, Pat. I want to buy all your sealed games. Like, do you know anything about me or follow my work? I don't have a lot of sealed games.
Right.
I mean, out of the thousands of games I own, I have less than probably 4 or 5 dozen sealed games. Like, we're talking less than 1% of my games are sealed that I own.
But I do agree with this guy. I mean, as much as we talk shit about what's going on, it's like I can say I hate capitalism, but I've got to operate in it to live. If you have sealed games, absolutely, you can hate this collecting, you can hate this slabbing, you can hate this. But if you have some and you're looking to get rid of them, grade them and sell them. Get the money.
It's not just that though. When I brought up like the Mike Tyson's Punch Out, if you have a complete in box, not even a first print run, like a second print run or whatever. They go for like $1,500 now. It's like $100. That's like $150 game a few years ago at most.
Sell it all.
That's a 10 times increase.
Sell it off and roll around in a bathtub of your own money.
Ian, I'll flip you on capitalism. You'll come to like the capitalism.
No, you won't.
I'll get you. Capitalism is
Pat, I'm 39 years old.
Capitalism fuels the CU podcast.
All right.
It's a capitalistic. That'll be our bonus episode. That's a future voice. So we should do bonus episodes about stuff that just for the Patreon. I'm like, hey, we can get into that conversation. Has nothing to do with the purview of the podcast. We'll do a couple more here.
Hey Pat, hey Ian. Things opening up now and conventions starting to be back on the rise. What are some of your favorite road trip snacks?
Oh.
Things you like to eat on your way to conventions and while you do stuff and stuff.
Ian perked up.
My favorite road trip snack of all time is Twizzlers Pull and Peel licorice. I love Twizzlers Pull and Peel licorice.
What is it? Is it like individual like string cheese packets? What is it?
It's you've never had Pull and Peel?
They're twisted up and it's one at a time?
It's the 9 little pieces that they twist up and it's soft and chewy.
I hate Twizzlers. I hate hard licorice. I can eat salt licorice. I hate hard licorice.
No, this is not hard licorice. This is very soft.
Hard licorice gives me a headache for some reason. I don't know why.
Weird. No, this is very soft. And my mom used to always buy it when we'd go on road trips. My mom, my dad, my brother, and I. And even in adulthood, if I'm going somewhere and I see Pull and Peel, it's an instantaneous purchase. I love Pull and Peel licorice.
Okay.
Specifically for road trips.
And I believe we probably have one more.
So let me get this straight. You guys can put out your podcast a day late, but I can't put out my Amico 14 months late. Okay. Hypocrite alert. And you never mentioned that I promised a free gift. Some sweet MP3s of my rockin' tune. I was just talking to someone and they said, but Tommy, what about the people with pre-orders who aren't fans of your music? I said, excuse you? Oh, no, you didn't. You better take that back right now or you can get the H out of my car. Oh. I don't care where we are or what time it is. I know. That language was uncalled for, and after I kicked him out of my car, I decided to take his advice. So, I'm throwing in a free game of choice from the following list.
Oh.
Thunderbirds Rescue Mission, USFL Football 2022, and, Fraggle Rock Racing. You're welcome.
Tom, if I can call you Tom, I think you're the USFL football, yes, that's definitely in line with the obsolete properties. Fraggle Rock kart racing actually sounds fun.
I would race the shit out of some Fraggles.
Like, if Amico announced a Fraggle Rock racer, I'd say that's a stroke of fucking genius.
Yeah.
Compared to Harlem Globetrotters and Evil Knievel.
Yeah.
At least you have something from like the late 80s.
Yeah.
At least. Something within the past 30 years or so. USFL football, that'd be funny.